Hello, everybody. It is 9 o'clock, but we're a relatively small channel, so I don't expect a lot of people to be tuning in quite yet. Especially if it's somebody that knows me. If you know me, you know I'm the guy that's usually a little late anyway. So, believe me, I totally understand if you all have trouble making it here on time. Hoping that you can all hear me just fine. Let me know, in the comments there if there is anything, if you hear any sounds or anything that, I don't know if the sound quality isn't that good. Let me know. Let me see what I can get going on here. I don't know. I can't really. And I'm sorry, folks. Like I said, this is if you're watching this video later, I'm sorry. It's my first time live streaming. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not used to doing this. I'm used to being on my phone all the time. So dang it, no, cancel that. Yeah, I'm used to being on my phone all the time. So being on my computer, it's been a while since I've really played with my computer much. I'm just not used to it, I guess. I suppose. But I guess. Well, anyway, I guess before we get too far into it, thank you all for tuning in to Second Street Marvel. Hope you're all having a good day or night, depending on what part of the world you may be in. I mean, I don't know. I might have some international watchers out there. I don't know. I mean, it would seem a little odd considering how small I am, but hey, you never know, right? There could be. I mean, that's kind of the point of platforms exactly like this, is to for people to connect with each other, faster. That's really the point of doing all these things, I guess, is like YouTube and Facebook. That's kind of why we're all here, to instantly connect. It's not like back in the old days. It was all newspapers and letters and telephone calls. I mean, heck, who even calls anybody anymore? Then I can't remember the last time I really got a phone call from like a friend or a family member. I mean, occasionally, but seems like it rarely ever comes. Sorry about that. But anyway, like I said, thank you all for tuning in to the Second Street Marvel. Thank you. A lot of times I refer to it as Second Street. That actually just comes from something, where I grew up at. All my friends. It's kind of where we grew up and hung out at, Second Street. I'm sure if you're all out there watching, let me know. Let's see if we can get started here. Do that. I'm not sure where that. There we go. Let me know if that's too loud. I can't. I don't really know. So you let me know on your end. A little bit of music going on here. But yeah, hope you're all doing good tonight. It's my first live stream. I don't know. It's just something I wanted to try out. See different format than actually shooting. Shooting with the camera. Shooting the videos and editing and doing all that stuff that I normally do for the channel when I'm done. The other videos that you've seen on here, if you've checked them out. I know a few of you have. I'm watching my views and my watch time. So you all better be checking out the videos, liking, get some more likes on those, and make sure while you're there, comment, leave some comments, things that I can improve on, what you thought about the videos, what you think about my theories, what you think about my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let's see. I don't really know what I'm going to discuss today. I had a few things. A lot of Avengers Endgame theories and things going on, like with that and Captain Marvel. Some of them are funny. some of them were pretty good. Some of the theories were pretty good, but I think for the most part, there's some of them that just kind of crack me up. Be going over some of those here in a few minutes. I guess while I got some time to go here, before we get too far into anything, maybe I'll just go ahead and go over some comics. That's a lot of things. One of the things I talk about here. Obviously, you see all the stuff here hanging around in the room. Just seeing it here on the channel. But I mostly talked about Marvel and things like that. For the most part, I want to cover more. I was actually thinking about changing the name of the channel there for a couple of days, because putting Second Street Marvel, it's kind of limiting. It's just I don't know. I mean, Marvel kind of puts it in a box. When I want to talk about more than Marvel, I want to talk about more than just these Avengers, the Avengers movies and Marvel movies in general. I'd like to do reviews on, like I said, movies. I did some on Aquaman and Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. I want to do some more. Like I said, I just started, so it's going to take me some time to get there, or have that kind of time. I've got a small business that I run. I've got 3 kids, so it does get kind of it gets kind of crazy. Don't get all the time in the world that you want all the time. But like I said, I'm doing what I can. Let me know what else you want me to cover. Leave messages down in the comments. You can find me on social media. I've got plenty of things on social media where you can always contact me there at any time. What's going on here? Yeah, you can find me there on Facebook, on Instagram. You can always probably message me here on YouTube. I know probably got my email on here somewhere. But yeah, like I said, I do want to. Why is that not playing? But yeah, like I said, I want to start doing more content than just that. But does it keep? Oh, that's not what I want. Why is it doing this? Okay, whatever. I guess we're just not going to do that. Yeah, like I said, I want to start doing more content, but for now, I'm just kind of doing what I do. Something that's easy enough, because I am going to actually start. I have plans to start another channel. It's completely different content that I don't want to. I probably don't want to drop that kind of stuff here on this channel. That's not exactly what it's for. But before I get too far into anything, discussing anything, I figured maybe start off with something kind of nerdy. You see. If you watched one of my previous videos, I was talking about this issue coming out, the Avengers Endgame prelude, and like I said, it's kind of just a just covers Infinity War, pretty much. The art in it's good. That's why you read the comic books. You got to use your imagination. But it didn't really reveal anything that we didn't get out of the movie. A couple lines said differently. A couple lines that weren't in the movie. Nothing major, nothing spoilery. So I'm sure we didn't see no videos about this last one, because after the last Prelude comic, everybody was pretty upset and didn't want to go out and buy the next issue, because it was pretty funny if you saw the reactions on a lot of the people on like social media, and just even in the comments on some of my favorite channels like War Stew and New Rockstars. Some of these different channels where they were kind of covering, well, I guess not New Rockstars, it would have been like Cosmic Wonder, things like that, where they were covering some of that Prelude issue that came out last time, and a lot of people were upset because we didn't really get any information. But again, I said in one of my videos, anybody that's upset about that has probably never read any of these comics and knows what to expect, because like the Infinity War Prelude comics, they were pretty much the same way as the preludes here for Endgame. It's just a backstory. I think, God, what did it tell? I think it told like Thor Ragnarok and a couple others. It was 3 issues also, and it told several different stories throughout it. But then yeah, so and like there's the Spider-Man Far From Home Prelude issue. I think that may release here on March. I think it's releasing in March, very beginning of March. But the third issue of the Avengers Endgame Prelude comics is releasing next month. I believe that's probably around the same time next month, in February. Let's see. I also picked up Uncanny X-Men #9. This is the 9th issue. Excuse me. I know my throat's all. I'm not sick or anything. But this is the Uncanny X-Men #9. They started this series back up with a 10-issue run every week until issue number 10, and then I'm not sure if it's going to be twice a month after that or once a month. I'll have to look on the inside for that. Also picked this one up, Punisher #2. Or not #2. This is #6. Punisher #6. This series has been great. Been loving it. I mean, how could you not love Punisher anyway, right? When I started reading them again, I never really read Punisher comics before when I was growing up. Never really read them. Once I started reading them, I was I liked the character, and I'd probably read a couple, but I don't think I ever actually bought any. The one thing I liked about the character I really kind of noticed is he's almost like Wolverine, but like without the claws and without the healing power. But I mean, he's just guns. He's just he's just a badass with some guns, and he just executes some people. And that's the series has been great. The series has been awesome. The other one I picked up was Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider issue #4. It's got the aftermath of Spider-Geddon. I heard some people say they didn't like this issue so much. I don't know. It's hard to say. I hope it didn't go downhill, because I know the 3 issues they did during the Spider-Geddon that launched this series, they were really good. I really did like them. They were pretty good. What about this Guardians of the Galaxy issue? Is like a reissue comic one, one before. I'm sure they were doing this just because they're getting ready to relaunch, start a new series of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Here pretty quick. Next issue I picked up Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This is a new series. I haven't got to read any of these yet. It's been a busy week. But picked that one up as well. And I had to get this one. I did have to get the variant cover because there was 4 others that were released. I got those. They were from like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse covers, alternate covers. They were pretty not. It was nice art on them, so I went ahead and picked them up. Why not? Like I said, if you don't know me already, I'm a Spider-Man geek. I love Spider-Man. Which brings me to Miles Morales #2, Spider-Man #2. I didn't get to read the first one yet, but everybody said it was great. So I can't wait. I'll probably try to get caught up on some reading this weekend and read that in this one. I also did get Captain Marvel #1. This is a new series just launching off again. I haven't got into this one yet, but the Life of Captain Marvel series that just wrapped up last month. It was a 5-issue run. It was really good. I really did like the Captain Marvel run, the Life of Captain Marvel one. That was good. And then the last one I got was Black Order #3. I only got partway through issue #2. It's good series, good artwork. Been liking this series, and obviously it's about the Black Order. If you don't know the Black Order, then you probably haven't watched Avengers Infinity War. But that's all the issues I picked up this week. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you've read any of these issues, let me know what you think about them. Leave in the comments. Or what issues did you pick up this week? Do you even read comics? I know some of my friends that I probably harassed and texted to get on this live feed today probably don't read comics. But hey, it's whatever. That's what I'm here for, to tell you about them. I know. God, what was that movie? Getting ready to release next week already. Wednesday, Dragon Ball Z Super. Dragon Ball Super, man. Broly. It's coming out. See, that's my poster from when the first one came out. Well, of course, the English dub. Most of these been out in Japan for a while. It takes them a while to dub them all. But honestly, I can't wait to see this movie. I haven't really been paying attention to trailers or anything. He's been busy with a lot of stuff with the holidays, running my business and everything. But can't wait to get to the theater and watch this. It's always fun watching them on the big screen. But I mean, to be honest with you, I love Dragon Ball Z and everything, but um, Broly is probably like my one of my least favorite movies that they did. Um, I know I'm probably going to get some people in the comments yelling at me about that. Uh, because a lot of people loved it, but honestly, one of my favorites was The World's Strongest. I love Dragon Ball. The World's Strongest is a really good one. Super Android 13, that was a really good one too. Um, I think Tree of Might, that was another one I didn't really like so much. I mean, it's all right. Just I don't know, it just seemed too slow moving for me. Um, but I think The World's Strongest. That's probably like one of my favorites. The World's Strongest. And if you haven't seen that, you should definitely check that out. Dragon Ball Z: The World's Strongest. That's coming out. Oh, that's the other thing I've been hearing about lately. Is Glass. Been hearing a lot of people, a lot of the critics. I guess they had a review embargo, something, I don't know what they call it, where they couldn't release reviews on it until a certain date. And a lot of the reviews apparently have been coming back negative, and that's a shame, really. I mean, I've got to say that, what was that last one, Split, that he did? I'm not sure what M. Night Shyamalan's really been up to lately, but I really did like his movies when he first started coming out. He always has the weird twists at the end. But I don't know. I think it was probably like Lady in the Water, somewhere right around there. I started kind of tuning out. Didn't really watch as many. But yeah, I like when I went and finally seen Split. I didn't even go watch it at the theater. Man, I almost feel bad about that, especially considering, like I said, I do like M. Night Shyamalan. But I didn't even go watch it at the theater, and I finally watched it on DVD. And I was watching through the whole movie, through Split, and I was like, "Oh, this movie, it's all right." And then for me, the real twist of that movie was right at the end when David Dunn shows up, and like at that, like I was sitting here at the house, I like jumped up screaming. I can't remember if my wife or my kids were here, but I was like, "Oh yeah!" I was like, "Woo!" And I don't know, it was it was something. I was pretty excited to see that, because I mean, it was basically teasing a sequel that I didn't even know was going on. Maybe you didn't even know what was going on. I don't know. I certainly wasn't expecting that. But yeah, apparently early reports are it's not so good. I don't know. But again, I don't like to listen to most of like the critics and reviewers and all that stuff. Well, maybe a reviewer. It depends. It depends on how they're doing it, because I believe there's a difference between reviewing something and just being a critic and critiquing something. There's a definite difference where I feel like a critic is really just kind of maybe they're not always putting stuff down, but like when they do, they just do. I feel like if you're just critiquing it, like I can tell you, like there are good things about a lot of movies, and there are bad things about a lot of movies. And overall, even a bad movie can have good elements to it. Some of the worst movies in the world still have good actors in them that are actually do good in their roles, but the movie is just crap. I hate to bring up a recent one. I hate to bring this one up because I haven't seen it, and it's not just because I've heard these rumors, but I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in seeing it. But that was a Hotel Artemis. I haven't seen it. Didn't really have much interest in it, but the makings of it, everybody that was in it, it kind of sounded like it was going to be a good movie, but I never got to check it out. And again, like I said, I don't like to listen to people when they say, because like I said, I've sat and watched through and tolerated a bunch of movies. I've there was one time, God, what was that movie? Eddie Murphy, Showgirls, Dreamgirls. I can't remember. It was something like that, but it was like a musical, and it had like Jamie Foxx and Eddie Murphy and Jennifer Hudson. And honestly, I didn't even know. I don't even know if I paid attention to the trailers, but it was a musical, and I didn't know that going in. And there was a scene with Jamie Foxx and Jennifer Hudson where they're sitting there like scream fighting with each other. I mean, scream singing at each other. And I almost lost it and walked out of the theater. But I just stayed in my seat, and I was happy I did, because there was like this one scene towards the end where Eddie Murphy, who was playing like a James Brown character, like he was playing like James Brown in this in this adaptation, and he James Browned out on stage, and it was great. It was totally worth seeing that one scene. But other than that, I probably wouldn't have went to the theater to watch that movie, and I probably wouldn't have rented that movie. I probably would have waited for Netflix or something like that. But even then, at that point, I might have been like, I don't know if I don't watch it so much. But yeah, so I don't know about Glass. Hopefully it's a good movie. I want it to be. Like I said, I like M. Night Shyamalan. I love, obviously the people that are in the movie. I mean, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson. Professor X, he's great. They should get Eric Flincher in it too. Suffers from James Brownouts, huh? All right. But yeah, so we've got the Dragon Ball Super coming out. Glass, I'm just gonna go out and see that. Hopefully it's good. That's really, I guess, all I got, as far as movies coming out soon. Captain Marvel's getting ready to come out soon. I can't wait to see that. It's it's always funny hearing people talk and reading just online about people and their thoughts on Captain Marvel. I was even talking with one of my friends today. He was talking about her being Mary Sue because she can, she's apparently the news is she's the only person who can jump through time. She can time travel. Okay, and this is just one of those ones where it just cracks me up. These are the, so I don't know. Some of the rumors always crack me up just because Samuel L. Jackson said that she's the only one that can time travel. And I mean, do we even know that for sure? I mean, certainly we know that her cat is a flurkin. Isn't that what they're called? The flurkin. We know that her cat is called a flurkin, and they have these pocket dimensions apparently. I'm not sure if it's like within their bodies or something. I don't know. And so I'm like, maybe that's how she time traveled. Maybe she just has the cat and she's good friends with the, well, it's called Goose in the movie. She used to be Chewy, but that's all beside the point. But maybe that's how she travels. I mean, time travel. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Nobody really knows. None of us have seen the movie. But I mean, maybe she does it through the quantum realm. Things like that. It's hard to say. I mean, I have my own theories on some of the time travel stuff for that. You've probably seen, if you watch my videos, you've probably seen one of my theories about the time travel thing. I don't necessarily know. I mean, they really haven't. They discussed time theory, but they haven't done time travel necessarily. Like even with the time stone that Doctor Strange was doing in the movie, with the apple and everything. That was more like time manipulation. It's not time travel. Time, like I said, said in one of my videos, I think time travel involves a machine, somebody having the theories and coming up with a machine. And I did say in the same video about Bill Foster and Ant-Man and the Wasp having that chalkboard behind him, where it showed the guy walking through the door and, basically like a gateway. But that could easily be something just like the, God, what were those little portals? Remember when all the realms were aligning in Thor: The Dark World? It was just like that, just like the convergence. Remember they dropped the keys? That wasn't the keys, was it? Yeah. Anyway, a lot of people don't like Thor: The Dark World, but I think it's a great movie. It's kind of funny that a lot of people like that. A lot of people say it's sloppy writing in that movie too, without knowing that was actually written by what is it, Stephen Marcus, Christopher Marcus, Steve McFeely. It was actually written by the same guys who wrote every Captain America movie. They wrote Avengers Infinity War. They're writing Avengers Endgame. To say they just got lazy writing, I mean, I find that hard to believe. I just don't think that's the truth. And I think they just wrote a lot of things in there. Like I said, I think through the Captain America films, they definitely weaved a narrative thread through them, and that's probably one of the things they're going to tie up in the next movie. Everybody keeps thinking that Captain America's going to die, but we haven't moved on to Avengers Endgame yet. I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to stop right there. We're still talking about Captain Marvel. I can't wait to see the Captain Marvel film. I get people's reservations, thinking that she's going to be Mary Sue in and all those kinds of things. But I mean, we just don't know that that's the case yet. Maybe there's a reason she has these powers, and obviously, if there's a reason she has the powers, we're going to find that out. But maybe the things that these people are saying, like Samuel L. Jackson talking about, she's the only one who can time travel. Maybe she just done it one time, or coincidence, or she can only do it X amount of times, or it can't. I can't imagine it's just like somewhere she just snaps her fingers and that's it, and it goes, because that's just. I mean, you want to talk about sloppy writing? That's sloppy writing, because then you just fix whatever with time travel. But I mean, you can't really fix it because paradoxes and all that stuff. But yeah, and people talking about the trailers. They were talking about the last trailer where it seemed like they were being more buddy with the between Nick Fury and Carol Danvers. I didn't really get the feeling that they were being buddy at all. I kind of, it felt to me like she was being a kind of a smart ass to him. She's like, a rough day, Fury. It seemed like she had probably gotten caught by him, and maybe for questioning after the blockbuster thing, and then maybe she escaped, escaped from Shield when they were questioning her or whatnot, and then he caught back up to her. I mean, that's what he does. You don't just escape from Nick Fury. But I kind of got that feeling out of it, like she was like she was being a smart aleck more than anything. Yeah, I don't know. All these apparently, hey, Comic Book University, awesome, man. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not sure who to, supposedly Nick Fury said that she's the only one that can time travel. Samuel L. Jackson said that in an interview. I don't know. It seems ridiculous to me. Like I said, the time travel that hasn't really been explored much, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, in the trailer, I didn't really get a buddy cop thing. I mean, I think they're probably trying to build a relationship, or he's probably trying to gain her trust because he knows that there's obviously something special about her. I mean, she shows him that, and I'll be first rodeo. So yeah, I don't know about the whole Mary Sue thing. I mean, I think she's got a lot of powers, and they've obviously got to change it from the comics for the movies, and why would they want to put the comics just in the movies? A direct adaptation, I wouldn't even really want to go see it. But God, what else is some of this stuff flying around about Captain Marvel? I presented one of my theories where I thought there was a hole ripped in space right there where the Tesseract dropped when Captain America had lost it in the first Avenger. Remember, because it shot Red Skull off into space, and I kind of theorized that maybe there's a hole rip there in space, and it's right about the spot where everybody seems to think that all the directions, like on like the Quinjet where they're heading and everything, it all seems to head that direction, which is like northeast of basically where I live at here near Edwards Air Force Base in California, and even from New York, it's kind of like northeast. But I kind of theorize that there's probably a hole ripped in time and space, probably somewhere right there, and there's probably a gateway. And I think maybe in the Captain Marvel trailer I want to say we see that, or I'm thinking maybe her airplane when she's taking off, because she's likes to push the limits and all that thing. It's all through the taglines for the movie in the trailers, higher, faster, further, whatever, something like that. But I think when she's out there, I think maybe she goes through wherever that portal is. I think maybe she gets shot through it somehow, or maybe a ship comes through it. I don't know, something like that. I know it sounds a little far fetched, but like I said, the Tesseract did rip that hole in space and shoot Red Skull through it. So I don't think it's completely crazy to think that. God, what else is there about that movie? Captain Marvel. There's a lot of funny theories about it. A lot of people upset that she don't smile in the trailers, which I just think is funny. I mean, she's been brainwashed, apparently. And that's the other talking about, like Annette Bening's character and who she is. I mean, who's to say that she's not Chris Palma? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm saying that. She's not a real she's not a real live person, so I don't think that she can be offended. Sorry, Empress Palma. But I'm wondering if that's who she's playing, and then maybe like in that room that they were at, maybe that's the Supreme Intelligence. Uh, it's hard. It's hard to say, but that's just kind of what I was thinking about. Or maybe they're both kind of the same. Maybe that's like the embodiment, and the room is like their little chamber. I don't know. It's hard to say. But you know, I've seen a lot of people when they're breaking down the videos too, all the trailers. There's that scene with Nick where he's got the the ice pack or the ice pack on his eye, and everybody keeps saying that it's Coulson that's standing there with him while the doctor's operating on him. It's actually Talo, his fear boss, things like that. You know, seeing some of these breakdowns. God, what else? Captain Marvel. I don't know. I can't wait to see the movie. It's great. I do think that she's probably. I don't know that there's necessarily time travel with the Captain Marvel movie, and then, like I said, with the whole written song, I feel like there's something going on there, and I almost think that in the trailer where we see after she had I almost feel like she's getting up, looking confused. You know, you show her standing up. You know, like hey, you know, like they did throughout the whole, you know, the trailer on that first one. And I almost wondered if she was staring at herself. If she tried somehow, she did time travel, and she was there, and she saw herself there at the explosion, and was going to intervene or maybe do something, but didn't, because whatever. She knows that whatever has to take its course, and you know, honestly, I kind of thought that's what it was. You know, when they show the shot from behind the other Kree warrior walking up, which of course could be all trick photography too. It could all be fake. But it was kind of another theory I had with it too, was that there was like a time travel in that kind of way, like maybe when she was out, you know, they kind of show that dogfight in the trailer too. Maybe that dogfight, you know, happened as she was going through one of that little portal, like I was saying, that got ripped in space, and maybe, you know, she went through that, and it shot her into a different time, something like that. I don't know. But I mean, what do you all think? So there's plenty of theories going around about the Captain Marvel movie. I could probably go on all day about them. There actually is some. There actually is some things that I was noticing. I'm not sure if you all watched my videos. I did some videos about the Ant-Man Prelude comics that came out a few years ago, and for the first Ant-Man movie. And I'm not sure if you read those, but if you read through those, if you haven't read through those and you want to read them, spoiler warning right here. You don't want to hear this. But in these issues, it shows Hank Pym on his first mission, and he actually goes to Siberia to. He had a fight with Howard Stark about going to Siberia because he didn't want to give the Pym particle to them to use to send in their army. And he went to Siberia, and that was his first mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. He went to Siberia to get these plans that these what do you call them, radicals, that these radicals had got and reverse engineered from Hydra plans for brainwashing technology. It's for the brainwashing tech, and he gets there to get these plans, not knowing that they already had a working prototype, because they were reverse engineering this. These Hydra plans, and so he got there. He got inside. He found the plans, and as he was finding the plans, you know, he hears screaming, and so he goes to the room and finds. And what does he find? He finds somebody in a machine that is just like the one that they use on Bucky Barnes. And it's not Bucky Barnes here, because we know this because the soldier has both arms, and we see, you know, in the first Avenger, you know, that, you know, or Winter Soldier, that his arm did get cut off. So we know it's not Bucky Barnes, but there is a soldier in there that, and I'm trying to see if I can figure out who this soldier is. But it's a soldier who has a scar on his face, and but they're using this brainwashing technology on him. And you see at the very beginning of the first issue that they used it on him, and it didn't work. Like, it worked, but then it didn't. You know, because he escaped and he's running away. Like, hey, what the hell? Where am I? and then they catch him and they take him back, and then they obviously experiment on him some more. And then when Hank Pym walks in, you can see they do it to him. They wipe his mind, and the Hydra commander there, he's like, "Are you ready to comply?" Hell Hydra. He's like, "Oh, Hell Hydra." And then seconds later, the guy's like, "Hey, what the hell? Where am I?" So obviously the machine they had didn't 100% work, but they did have the plans from it, and so they were already using it and testing it. And this was back in the 70s. We know this was back in the 70s because this would have been when Hank Pym would have first made the Pym particle. And he would, because in the first Ant-Man, he makes mention that it was 40 years ago that he made the Pym particle. And, obviously was working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Howard Stark and all that stuff. So, and then this was his first mission for him. We know this was back in the 70s, for the most part. Like I said, they're in Siberia, they're in Russia. I mean, it could have been in the 80s, I suppose. So he goes there, and they've got the thing that they were using on Bucky Barnes, and I'm thinking that, man, there's a lot of things that tie in through just through this one thread, because that piece of brainwashing technology, if you think that basically Hydra was having that tech back in the 70s, through the 80s they've got it perfected by then, and definitely in by the 90s. And we know they did by the 90s for sure, because Bucky Barnes, right? They used him to go kill Tony's parents in 1991. But what was he doing before that? Did they have him? I mean, what were they having him do before that? And who all else did they use this brainwashing technology on? That machine that they had on him? Because like I said, there's a soldier that's there in the 70s. We know for sure they use it on Bucky Barnes. And it just kind of seems like throughout the whole Captain Marvel trailers, they keep kind of stressing that she falls and bumps her head, and she all of a sudden can't think for herself anymore. If we want to talk about a Mary Sue, I don't think a Mary Sue just gets a little bump on her head and can't remember anything. But that's just me. I don't know. All of a sudden she's useless after a little bump on the head, but she's got superpowers and she can time travel. Oh man. All right. I better calm down on that. But yeah, and I think obviously we see her in that device with the scrolls that the Skrulls had her in, and that's what I was wondering, if maybe because we see shots when she's growing up. I wonder if maybe she got put in an experiment or something. Maybe when she was younger, maybe they used this machine on her, or maybe after they're we see her in the Air Force, flying thing. Maybe she gets in a crash, and maybe she actually, maybe the doctors actually take her in and use some of that technology on her. Because if she's testing out technology with, like the Air Force and S.H.I.E.L.D., they got like a deal like that. I mean, and obviously they did have it like that. I mean, War Machine is a prime example. Tony Stark used to make all the machines for him. Which I'll get on to the Starks in a minute. The Starks are a sham, all right? The Starks are a sham. I'll get onto that in a minute. Tony's not so bad, but you know what? I think his dad pulled a fast one on everybody, to be honest with you. But I'm wondering if she got in a plane crash or something, and then they used that tech on her, maybe clear memories or something. I don't know. Hard to say, but I'm wondering if it's something like that, And they tried to, clear out some bad memories. It's hard to say. Bad memories, I don't know. Traumatizing memories. It's hard to say, but or maybe because maybe they found out at that point. Maybe they found out that she was different, and maybe that's when she gets taken off by Jude Law's character, who we believe to be Marvel. It could be Jan Rog. I mean, who the hell knows? It's so ridiculous. Marvel Studios isn't even saying, and they're probably not, because maybe he's a mixture of characters. That assumption has been made. I certainly, people are saying that, God, was I think on the Den of Nerds, they were saying that it can't really be, because at some point, they were theorizing that, Carol Danvers would basically have to respect him to want to take on the Captain Marvel name. And I kind of buy that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe he was bad, and maybe she realized that, but maybe he does something to redeem himself. I mean, if Yondu, a guy who basically made a name for himself, being a child trafficker, was all of a sudden redeemed after doing one good deed. I mean, come on, why can't Jan Rog um, or Captain Marvel be redeemed for one good deed? Of course, Loki's always get forgiven, right? But Loki's just a good, complex character. Let's see what else. I'm not sure what else. What other theories are about Captain Marvel? But now, Endgame. There's some funny ones with Endgame, that's for sure. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's going to be Wolverine in Endgame. Oh, tell me, you guys. I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is like the funniest thing in the world. Keanu Reeves Wolverine too. This is another good one. This just kind of cracks me up. I mean, I like Keanu Reeves. Believe me, if there's anybody that's a Keanu Reeves fan, it's me. I love Keanu Reeves. There's one of my friends that knows me that couldn't tell you otherwise. But I just don't see him being Wolverine. I wouldn't want him to be Wolverine. I wouldn't want Hugh Jackman to come back and be Wolverine in the MCU. I just don't want that. You know who I want to be Wolverine? Jon Bernthal. I think Jon Bernthal should be Wolverine. I mean, have you seen this guy, Jon Bernthal? You got to take a look at this guy. I mean, watch Punisher. If you haven't watched The Punisher on Netflix, go watch the show. Obviously, getting ready to come out with season 2. It's coming up. But Jon Bernthal, I think, should be the next Wolverine. He's got the look, he's got the talent, and I'm telling you, this guy, he's it. I mean, I think he could definitely be it. People were talking before about Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy's okay. I'm not a big Tom Hardy fan. I'd go watch it if it was Wolverine, but I just wouldn't be super psyched about it. But if you put Jon Bernthal in there as Wolverine, I mean, I'm in. So take my money. How much do you want? How many times do I got to see this movie in the theater? And can I get more than one? Can I get like three movies? Can I get at least 3, like year after year? Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Prison Battle was epic. The punter, those are good stuff. That's just good TV right there. Like I said, even about the comic book, how could you not like Punisher? And that's the bad thing about the Punisher and the MCU is, could he be in the MCU? I really don't think so. Frank Castle, you can't really tone him down. You like Deadpool, you could probably tone down Deadpool. I mean, they do in the comics. Obviously, he's not cursing and saying all the things, all the rated R stuff that he says in the movies, in the comic books. They tone it down. You can tone down Deadpool in a movie, but Frank Castle, you can't tone down Frank Castle in a movie. He's violent, and it's guns. It's gun violence. And that's, if there's one thing going on in America right now that they don't want to show more of and try to promote, especially through something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney, most of all, it's gun violence. And believe me, that's one of the things that has made all the other Punisher movies good is they were done in a time where action movies were still allowed to be action movies for the sake of shooting stuff up and blowing stuff up. You know what I mean? Like the Dolph Lundgren one. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's just like, you look back on it, it's cheesy, but man, it's great. I actually never seen Punisher Warzone. I never seen that one, but I heard it was really good. But I really did like Thomas Jane's Punisher. God, that Punisher was excellent. But John, I'm telling you, Jon Bernthal. I'm telling you, give that dude some mutton chops and some claws and put him to work. But yeah, Wolverine gonna be in Avengers Endgame, and they're saying that Captain Marvel can do time travel. So if she really can time travel, obviously maybe there is going to be time travel in Endgame, and maybe I'm going to stick my foot in my mouth big time when I'm laughing at people saying that there's going to be time travel in Endgame. Because to me, I just find that hilarious. Like I said, they haven't introduced time travel. Nobody has a machine that they have made that they're going to time travel with. Hasn't happened. It's too much to go on in that movie, which is maybe while they're setting Captain Marvel before that. Maybe she can time travel, has a means to. I just don't know. I just don't buy it. It just seems too easy. Just seems too easy. But time travel, that's a good one. And Captain Marvel's gonna save Tony Stark. Captain Marvel, and now everybody thinks that Rocket Raccoon is gonna save Tony Stark because there's a video game that they premiered, the Audi premiered, and they're at CES in Las Vegas. The Rocket Raccoon's gonna go. I mean, how far are we gonna go with theories just based on things like that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be. It could be. I just prefer. I prefer solid evidence from movies, from what we have. Not even movie, but even the comic books too. Like I said, the Ant-Man thing is huge. That brainwashing machine. Speaking of that brainwashing machine, before I get too far into Avengers Endgame, okay, here we go. Speaking of that brainwashing machine in Ant-Man that they have. Now you got to think of all this technology that Hydra has, and even tech that Shield has. Because if Shield has it, Hydra has it. Because if there's one thing that Shield definitely has more than anything, it's leaks. They got more. I mean, there's more moles there than there's more there's more moles in Shield than in my mom's mole. Shit. Never mind. That's just too funny. But anyway, yeah, Shield, man, they're not very secure. They're not very secure at all. But okay, so yeah, they basically had that brainwashing tech. Okay, we know they got that. And there was another thing in the Ant-Man movie. In the Ant-Man movie, people always overlook. Okay, Darren Cross basically made his own Pym particle in Ant-Man, right? Because he came up with the yellow jacket. Towards the end of the movie, when they were breaking in to steal the yellow jacket and they all started fighting in there, they were making the buy. Remember, they were making the buy. And, when, Hank Pym hit him and everything. Okay, that right there, in that fight, Mitchell Carson was in there. Mitchell Carson was the guy at the very beginning of the Ant-Man movie who Michael Douglas had said was always after his tech. He was always after his particle. He was the guy that he punched in the face, right? That's Mitchell Carson. He was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. He eventually quits, and Michael Douglas tells him that now he's in the business of toppling governments. And so he basically got a hold of tech and sold it to people, and he's out there, kind of on the front line, I guess you could say, like a black arms dealer. And so he always wanted that tech. He always wanted the Pym tech. And, we obviously see that in the Ant-Man movie. He wants it. He's after it still. And that's why he's meeting with Darren Cross. And he's actually there with guys from the 10 Rings. You see one of the guys that's there with him that has the 10 Rings tattoo on his neck. Okay? Okay, so we know they got the brainwashing tech, and we know they've got the Pym particle. Hydra has a version of Darren Cross's version of the Pym particle, because in that fight where they were there trying to get the yellow jacket, and all the fighting broke out, Mitchell Carson, when he was trying to get that yellow jacket, he took that particle out of it was one of the soldiers' hands. Somebody fell with it, and he took that with him. So he took that and studied it and tried to make more. Because if Darren Cross could do it, he could do it. And the other thing is, he could probably hack into his files because he probably works, for somebody who has a better hacker than Shield does, because Shield can't keep their stuff from getting hacked. But I'm thinking, that is so basically, they have that tech. They have the particle. They have the brainwashing tech. Okay. Then we know they also get super soldier serum. Okay. We've seen at the beginning of Captain America: Civil War, that was one of the things. They said that was kind of a false MacGuffin in there, but we see at the very beginning of Captain America: Civil War that Bucky went after that super soldier serum that they had made, and that was in 1991. That was in 1991. Hank Pym left S.H.I.E.L.D. 2 years earlier in 1989. Okay, and then like I said, it would have been in 2000 and what 15 when Ant-Man came out, when Mitchell Carson would have got that Darren Cross's version of the Pym particle, of a particle, I guess. So it was much later, but we know they all have the tech. By the time they have the tech, yeah, they've got plans for it. They can always make more. You take one away, they'll always make more. I mean, that's Hydra, right? Cut off one head, two more, replace it. So we know they've got the brainwashing tech. We know they've got a copy of the Pym particle, and we know that they've got the super soldier serum. Now, that's the other thing. At the very beginning of Ant-Man, when Hank Pym left, remember, he was angry because they were trying to replicate his Pym particle, and we also know that they were experimenting with other things too, like making that super soldier serum that they had perfected in 1991. We know they had it perfected because that's exactly what the doctor was doing, and Bucky told him they had more than one Winter Soldier, right? We found out that they had a working serum. Okay, they had the working serum. So they got the serum, they got the brainwashing tech, eventually they get the Pym particle, synthetic Pym particle. What else did they get though? If they've got that, the other thing that they have got is the Tesseract, because Shield had the Tesseract. They basically got their hands on the Tesseract too, because face it, Hydra and Shield are like this. They go together like bread and butter. You like bread and butter. Yeah, the pimp particle, pimping since been pimping. Yeah, no, but so they've got all these things, and we know they did replicate that serum. So that's a lot of things that they were doing. Shield was trying to replicate all these things. They were trying to replicate the super soldier serum. They were trying to replicate the Pym particle. I guarantee you, in that Ant-Man Prelude comic, he said, Hank Pym said that he destroyed that brainwashing tech, the plans for that brainwashing tech. He said that he destroyed those plans, but maybe he didn't. Or even if he did, Hydra probably still had those plans. Okay, so they probably still had the plans. Okay, for that brainwashing tech, because we know they eventually had more machines. Because in the comic book, we see Hank Pym destroy the machine that they had, and they obviously made more because they brainwashed Bucky later with an actual working version of the same technology. I mean, but it wasn't 100% working either, because we did notice that Bucky Barnes even still had to be wiped a couple of times too. We know this, so their technology still isn't 100%, but they've got it. And you know what? They've had everything first, and that was going to be my other point. Is the Starks are a sham? Okay, Tony Stark and Howard Stark, they are not that great. What did Howard Stark invent? Can anybody tell me? There's a couple of people watching here. I see it. Tell me in the comments. What did I'm gonna take a drink really quick. What did Howard Stark invent? Okay, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I don't think that he invented anything. He made weapons. Okay, Stark Industries made weapons, military grade weapons. They made the best weapons. Okay, Tony Stark. Don't get me started. I'll get to Tony Stark in a second. But what did Howard Stark make? He didn't really make anything. He was a weapons manufacturer. They manufactured that. You see in the first, in Captain America, the first Avenger, he had the car where he was trying to get to fly, and it falls, and he goes, hey, I said a couple years, right? Okay. It wasn't even working. I mean, he was thinking about it. He is a genius. He was a smart man. I mean, I'm not saying that he wasn't smart. He wasn't a smart scientist. I'm not saying that. But as far as him being an inventor, not so much. I'm not sure that he did that much. But what he did, the things that he was successful at, he was good at, obviously. Had government contracts making weapons, okay? But he didn't really do anything. I mean, he made Captain America's shield. That's about it. We see that even we're getting to Tony Stark here. Tony Stark is a sham too. What did he make? He made the repulsor technology. He's on the leading edge of repulsor technology, and that's about it. His arc reactor was actually something that his father invented. Okay, he just found ways to improve it. Okay, he only found ways to improve on the arc reactor that his father had invented. Okay, so I guess we'll give it. And that's what I'm saying. That's why we haven't completely moved on the Tony. We're going to give that one to Howard because he did invent that. Now we see in Iron Man 2, there's that film reel. He was telling Tony about this new element. This little map that he left behind. He's like, he tells him, he's like, I'm limited by the technology of my time. I can't make this, but maybe you can in the future. And he's wrong. Okay, Howard Stark is wrong. He did have the technology. It was all possible because Dr. Zola did it back in 1942. Okay, Dr. Zola took and harnessed that power of the Tesseract. He created the same element that Tony Stark did in Iron Man 2. He invented it clear back in 1942. Okay, that's exactly what we've seen in Captain America: The First Avenger. We seen the scene where Johann Schmidt was in there and they were experimenting with it, and he walks it, all safe, he cranks it to and Red Skull, Johann Schmidt went over there and pushed out everybody. He's like, I didn't come here to be safe, and he turns the dials and cranks it all up, and remember it starts turning blue and everything, and that was another point where the Tesseract was being harnessed and they didn't know what they were doing, and it was starting to almost rip a hole in the space and time, almost like it did in the Valkyrie when him and Captain America were fighting. Almost the same thing. So Dr. Zola did that back in 1942, because in the very beginning of the movie, we seen that Johann Schmidt got the Tesseract in. That was 1942. It was 1942 when he went into Tonsberg, Norway, and picked up the Tesseract. Okay, and then I want to say there was somewhere in there. It says, I want to say there was only 1 year later. It was when Steve was enlisting. It was before Steve enlisted. It was enlisting in 1942 that they invented that they created that new element. They created that new element that Tony Stark thinks that he created. He created it, but he didn't invent it. He only rediscovered it. He synthesized it. His father couldn't synthesize it. Dr. Zola did synthesize it with the help of Johann Schmidt, obviously. But that's because, remember, it happened, and they had the glowy thing, and Dr. Zola looks at it and he's like, this could power all my inventions, or this could power all my inventions, all of them, he says, this will change. Oh, God, what he says? This will change the war. And Johann Schmidt says, this will change the world, or something like that. It'll change the world. I don't know. But that was when he made that element that Tony Stark made. That he made the badassium. We actually don't know the name of the element. In one of the prelude issues, they said that Tony Stark wanted to have it patented as badassium, and it wasn't going through. In another issue, they actually said that it was. What did it say that it was? I don't think that. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back and read what they. I don't think it necessarily gave the name of the element, for what they called it. But regardless, Tony Stark did not invent that element. He didn't discover that element. He just synthesized it again. Which again is what I'm saying. The Starks are a sham. Howard Stark didn't invent anything but the arc reactor and make and develop weapons. Okay, military grade weapons. Tony Stark only continued in that legacy. He invented the repulsor technology once he became Iron Man. He started making the repulsors and all that stuff. He did invent that, but the part of the element, he didn't invent it. He only synthesized it. Dr. Zola done it way before, and that's how Howard Stark got a hold of it to study it, because Captain America took some of it and gave it to Dr. for him, and that is where he studied it and came up with it and realized he couldn't synthesize it himself. He thought he was limited by his time, but Dr. Zola had done it years before. He has no excuses. You're not that good, Howard Stark. You aren't either, Tony. You aren't either. You just made a nice suit and repulsor technology. You didn't invent that. You didn't invent He didn't invent that particle or that element. Um, what else was there? Oh, speaking of which, and that was the other thing. What made me think was maybe they did get the plans for that brainwashing tech. Was if you think about it, the brainwashing tech. I mean, it's wiping people's memories here, right? And it's painful. You see people in pain going through this process, but maybe if Tony Stark got a hold of these plans and perfected it, maybe it was something his father was working on. Maybe they get a hold of these plans and perfect it, and you come up with what? Barf. Barf technology. Um, Binarily augmented retro framing to clear, what was it? To hijacks the hippocampus to clear stressful and traumatic memories, right? It sounds kind of exactly like what the same machine that brainwashes Bucky Barnes would be like. It sounds the exact same to me. It sounds like it would be the exact same. Does that serves the same purpose? Clear traumatic memories, wipes the brain. Okay, I mean, all you got to do is turn that volume up a little bit. Turn the gain up, and you're going from wiping traumatic memories to something he does do. He knows how to take something and perfect it. Which is another funny thing too. We'll get into that too. About the Ant-Man and the suits, those quantum suits. Okay, yeah. But yeah, the Starks are a sham. The Starks are a sham. Don't let them tell you they're that great. I mean, like I said, they're not bad. They're pretty good. Just kind of like Tony Stark. Who's gonna save Tony Stark? Do you know who's gonna save Tony Stark? He's gonna save him. It's gonna be Rocket Raccoon. It's gonna be Captain Marvel. It's gonna be Thor. Is he gonna use Stormbreaker? Gonna need that brain wipe if I have to watch Captain Marvel. Oh man. Oh, why? Captain Marvel's not that bad. I think it's going to be a good movie. I think a lot of people are underestimating it. I can't wait to watch it. But yeah, who's going to save Tony Stark? To me, this just comes back to Iron Man 1. Who's going to save Tony Stark? Supposedly, this is going to be Robert Downey Jr.'s last movie. Supposedly, it's going to be Chris Evans too. Whatever. Okay, whatever. With the rumor, whatever. They can extend their contracts. If they want to extend their contracts, if they want to, they're not gonna let that news out until after Endgame's out. They're not telling anybody that news until the movie releases. Until after the movie releases, probably not until way after. Because remember how they didn't want to release the name of the movie until after this movie came out, until after Infinity War came out, and they were kind of sure that everybody had seen it because they didn't want to spoil it. It's the same thing. It would be the same kind of thing that they don't want to spoil the future of the MCU and telling the Chris Evans. I mean, even the Russos, Joe Russo said in that one interview that Chris Evans isn't done. I mean, maybe he meant that he's not done with all the press and everything going on, but I just don't know, because I think they're just waiting to tell everybody until after the movies have come out. Once the movie has come out, people have seen it. They're like, okay, by the way, these people's contracts are renewed and they're coming back. Okay, you don't want to tell that about Tony Stark right now because then everybody's theorizing that Tony Stark is dying. They want to market this movie differently. Everybody's theorizing that Tony Stark's going to die. Everybody's theorizing Captain America's die. Okay, don't tell anybody that they're getting their contracts renewed until this movie comes out. You do that, Kevin Feige. You do that. So they're not going to let it out. But who saved Tony Stark? Is Tony Stark's going to save himself? Why else would this? Tony Stark saves himself. He saved himself in the cave, not all by himself, but he saved himself. He had help. On the Benatar, he has got Nebula with him. Nebula's not stupid. She's not useless. She's not useless. What says Captain Marvel will do what Thanos couldn't do? She will make one half the audience disappear, then the other half. It could be, man. It could be. But no. Where was I? Oh man. Tony Stark's gonna save himself, man. Nebula's not useless. He's gonna take. She's gonna help him. He's got something figured out. He's gonna try to get back. And you know what I think probably will happen though is maybe, just maybe, while he's headed back, maybe he's not on the bench all that way, but maybe while he's headed back, maybe just like in Iron Man 1, maybe Rhodey comes to save his ass out in the middle of space. Because maybe he gets close. Maybe he's getting so close, but he still has to go save him, just like he did in the first Iron Man movie. He still has to go pick him up out of nowhere. I mean, that would be a heck of a send-off. Everybody's talking about this is another one. Rescue armor. The rescue armor is coming out. It's gonna be woo! Rescue. We're gonna get rescue because he said rescue in the trailer. He said rescue in the trailer, so we know that we're getting the rescue armor, right? I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow was on the set of Avengers Endgame with the rescue armor on. I mean, we know she was on the set of Avengers Endgame. I find this hard to believe. Okay, that photo was leaked. That photo wasn't leaked by her, I don't believe. When she was in the rescue armor, supposedly she's been seen on the set of Spider-Man Far From Home as well, right? Who's to say that she's not using that rescue armor in Spider-Man Far From Home, not Avengers Endgame? Oh, hey. Hey, how you all doing? Yeah, who's to say that she's yeah, sorry, where was I? Yeah, who's to say that she's wearing that in that movie? She could easily be wearing it in Spider-Man Far From Home. Because she's been rumored to be on set. We know Samuel L. Jackson's in it. We know Maria Hill's in it. We know there's a lot of things going on in it. Maybe it's not actually in the end game, and maybe they're not saying anything about it because everybody's making assumptions on it, and so they're just letting everybody run with it. I mean, why not? Why not? But chances are, I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. She probably actually is in that movie with the rescue armor. I'm totally open to that, but I honestly think that there's the possibility that it's in Far From Home, not in Avengers Endgame. What other rumors are there? Oh, the rumors that the trailer is fake. Okay, Avengers Endgame trailer is fake. This is hilarious. I mean, people calling there's actually one channel in particular. They keep calling it fake. I almost want to unfollow the channel just because they keep saying it's fake. Okay, the trailer's not fake. I've seen it. It's real. It's a very real trailer. Now, is it misleading? Yes. There's probably some misleading things in it. If you watch one of my videos, there is a scene in there. They show the scene towards the end with Ant-Man, with Scott Lang. Hey, let me in. He's there, but if you watch the screen, it looks the edges of the screen, they don't look the best. They look like they're probably overlaid on there, and I'm willing to bet you that that's not really what they're looking at. And if it is, it's not at the same time as when Steve Rogers stands up and says, "Is this a new message?" It's not that same time. It's not that same time. And supposedly they're saying that all these trailers are going to be just showing the first 15 minutes of the movie and nothing more. Okay, and that really, knowing that that would happen in the first 15 minutes of the movie, Scott Lang coming back to Avengers headquarters to find a solution to help them out, that only further solidifies the theory in my other video that ant at the very end of Ant-Man and Wasp is going to be who saves Scott Lang from the quantum realm. Because the one thing I forgot to mention in that video is where we see the ant there at the end. I was mentioning those long shots that we get through his apartment. Okay, there is a nightstand by the doorway that has a bottle. It looks like a spray bottle. It looks like Meggyars, actually. If you ever clean your wheels, you ever go to your. They make all those wheel products to clean your wheels. It looks like a black bottle of the Meggyars. And there's a wallet and there's some sunglasses set in the same position, in the same exact spot, the whole movie. So that's how we know the movie only takes place in a few days. And even that scene at the very end, after everyone's disappeared, because that wallet is still sitting there in that hallway scene where the ant is playing the drums. And here's the thing about that ant playing the drums, and I said that he's going to go save Scott Lang from the quantum realm, is that that ant was playing the same drum beat that Scott Lang was playing when the FBI kicked in the door on him a few minutes earlier in the movie. It's the exact same beat he was playing. So this really only makes me believe even further that it's the ant that saves him. That it could be possibly be in the first 15 minutes of that movie that he's there knocking on the door at Avengers headquarters. And of course, who knows? Maybe Kevin Feige's lying, and maybe all the stuff in the trailers from more than just the first 15 minutes of the movie. There's also there's definitely some misleading things too with the faces we see on the screen. You know, everybody's talked about Spider-Man and Shuri showing up on there. Shuri, you know, she may have gone underground. But Spider-Man, I mean, why? You know, I mentioned this in my other video too. Why is Peter Parker on that screen? The only people who know that Peter Parker is missing and or definitely in space. Okay, nobody on the Avengers team knew who Spider-Man's real identity was. Okay, Happy Hogan knew, and Aunt May knew. Ned knows. Tony Stark knows. Nobody else knew. Not Thor, not Steve Rogers. There's a theory going around that supposedly Steve Rogers knew who he was, but I don't think that Steve Rogers knew who he was neither. But really, that's the only people that knew who he was. Thor didn't know. Banner didn't know. Black Widow didn't know. Black Widow, even though she's privy to a bunch of information, she's really good at that kind of stuff. I think that's another one of those fake things is on that screen. Peter Parker and Shuri, they're just put on there just to mislead us. They're definitely there to mislead us. And there's talks of a greater threat. What greater threat is there going to be? I don't know. That's a funny one too. People are also talking a lot about time loops and everybody being stuck in a time loop, which is an interesting theory. There's definitely proof of that. The one thing a lot of people pointed out too, and it is really noticeable in Infinity War, when he gives him the time stone, he pulls it out of the air, and he never touches it. Doctor Strange never touches it, and it's glowing. It's glowing, and the stones glow when they're working. Okay, they glow when they're working, when they're being used, and it's glowing. And he sends it to him, and it's floating, and it's glowing, and it's floating, and it's glowing. And Thanos, even when Thanos gets it, even he doesn't touch it. It's sitting there, suspended between his fingers, and he puts it in. And even when he puts it in the gauntlet, even the music it wasn't as dramatic as the other times that he put a stone in there. It just goes oh, instead of oh, it was a bigger production. You know what I mean? So there's that. It's definitely a good theory, but there's theories about two Thanos. There being two Thanos, and that's definitely a good theory. There definitely could be two Thanos in the movie. Talking about split realities and all that kind of stuff, but also in the in the Infinity Gauntlet, there was a second Thanos too that came. It was the doppelganger. That was actually with the Magus. I say it's Magus. It could be Magus. I don't know. Somebody correct me. Of course, if I read down in the comments, I mean, unless you spell pronunciation, I don't know if it's Magus or Magus anyway. But there was a second Thanos in the comic books too. But also in the comic books, just like at the very end of Infinity War, where Thanos is looking up and smiling. At the very end of Infinity Gauntlet, we got that same exact thing when Adam Warlock is going to Titan to see Thanos with Gamora and oh man, what was the little what was the elf's name? I can't remember. Which made me kind of think which made me think about Alf, because Alf was in that comic. He was one of the people that survived, and Alf was in there. And remember, Alf ate cats, and Goose is a flurkin. I don't know, just kind of funny. But he's from the planet Melmac. But yeah, I don't know the time travel thing. And did you all watch my video about about the it's called titled Multiverse. I'll put a link in here somewhere eventually. About the Avengers headquarters. There's two different headquarters there. They're orientated differently. So I think there's definitely alternate realities going on in Avengers Endgame. God, what else is there? What else is there that's been funny about these Avengers Endgame? These Endgame leaks. Well, toy leaks. The toy leaks are the funniest one. People are going off these toy leaks. Like, toy leaks don't necessarily always equate to the movie. You know, everybody's talking about the quantum suits that come out. The quantum suits, to me, I mean, they're ugly for one, and two, it just seems. I mean, well, they'll probably do it. I mean, it seems like they're going to do it. It just seems like a bad move because at that point, you're taking all your characters that all have unique identifying traits about them, especially with their suits, and you're putting them all in the same suit and making them look the same. That just doesn't sound. It doesn't sound. That doesn't sound like a. That doesn't sound smart. It doesn't sound like a good idea to me, and especially from a toy marketing point. Looking at things from a toy manufacturer point of view, why would you want a toy that looks the exact same? They all look the exact same. I mean, but you could just put an interchangeable head on them at that point. What's the point? You what's the point? I just don't know. The quantum suits, it just seems a little weird. But I don't know. They probably are going to happen. Supposedly, I mean, finding clues through toy leaks just seems a little odd. We recently seen those Lego ones with the supposed leaks of where they got the quantum suits on too. That's again, did we see packaging? No, we just seen a Lego. I mean, you could probably sit here and watch YouTube videos of people taking Legos and painting them intricately to make them look like something. I mean, hell, anybody could do that. So I mean, how do we know those things are official? How do we know that somebody didn't just make those just to fool everybody? Just like all these. That's another thing. Just like all these, like I said, and that's why I started this channel, was to talk about these same nerdy things. I see a lot of these channels that I like to watch. There's the theory videos. I love the theories. I love hearing them. But sometimes, guys, man, I love your channels. But stay off of Reddit, man. You're spending way too much time on Reddit, okay? Most of them are just theories. They're not real. They're not leaks, okay? It's fans, just like you, just like me, who some have varying levels of being good at writing. And some of them can write very convincing and very good sounding trailers or plot leaks or whatever, but not all of them can. And just, I don't know. And the theories are good. I'm not dismissing the theories because, I mean, it's good to theorize about it. I mean, I lose sleep over theorizing over some of these movies, but man, guys, take some time off of Reddit, okay? Read some of the comments down in your comments sections. I read some of the theories down in some of the channels that I follow. This comment section, I'm like, man, this sounds better than the theory I just watched on this video. Read through your comments a little bit. Some of the channels are so big they probably don't get a chance to. Like, I've watched like new rock stars. I've watched their channel and seen, man, within minutes they got hundreds of comments, but which is a funny thing too, because I see some other channels too where they've got high amounts of subscribers, high amounts of views, and very little comments. And I find it hard to believe on some of the channels. Like, man, like, these are great channels and they're talking about cool things here, and like nobody's commenting. So I mean, on a lot of them, I like to comment. And that's something else I found recently, since I started watching a lot of these theory videos. And so actually, since I started this channel, and since I started this channel, I've wanted to find what other different directions there are to go with it, because I don't want to just do the one. I'm going to try to keep the content on this channel limited, but I wanted to see what different formats there were out there. Because like I said, some of my favorite channels are like New Rock Stars, War Stew. I'm sorry, Wool Stew. Did I say that right? Wool Stew. Anyway, Sorry, Warsu. If you ever watch this, Warsu, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just impersonating you, and I love impersonating people. This is what I do. And I think you're I think you're pretty good, Warsu. But yeah, like Cosmic Wonder is a good one. What's it? Emergency Awesome? Is that what it's called? There's what was it? What else? Everything Always. Some of these different channels I really like watching. And then there's some of them that I just get tired of. I get Comic Book Cast 2. You know what? Comic Book Cast 2 is another one I almost unsubscribed from them several times because Armin's a little out there, and I watched a couple. I'm like, okay, Armin, I'm getting ready to unsubscribe to you. Like, you're being a little ridiculous. And then, but I also didn't really get his sarcasm at first neither. I didn't really get his sarcasm, and then I got it one day. And one day he did this video on, I think it was the Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman movies, and how people were basically trying to compare the two, and there's just that kind of stuff, and like that was the one I watched that video. I was like, dude, I'm never gonna unsubscribe from your channel because of this one video. I'll never unsubscribe. But there's some of them, like I said, they're huge, and there's some of them I won't watch either, like CBR. I don't know, some of the stuff on CBR I'm just like, oh god, like okay. Or Looper. Have you ever been on Looper? Man, I don't know. I'm sure that a lot of these people take time and they make a lot of great videos. The videos look great, but like some of the things they say, and I'm like, no, 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 just no. Like they'll say things, and oh, that's the other one. What was it? Super Carlin Brothers. I follow them too. They're a pretty good channel too. But even they, in some of their videos, they when they're presenting some of their theories or talking about some of the things, they're questioning things. They question them, and it's like, did you not watch the movie? Did you not watch all of this movie, or did you forget this movie? Did you forget this that happened in this movie, or I don't know? But like I said, I spend way too much time watching these dang movies. Okay, if it's an MCU movie, I've probably watched it at least 10 times over the past month and a half. But just I don't know, just a little bit of research. Try to remember these things. But they some of them spend too much time on Reddit, and then there's some, like I said, some of those channels, they say some outrageous things, and they're so big, and it's like I'm not saying anything on those pages, and that's like I said, that's why I started this page, so I could give and present my own theories. And if I am going to present somebody else's theory, I would tell you what other theory I'm going along with it. If I heard it somewhere else, I would try to leave a link if I could remember them, but I'd probably just be leaving a link to like one of these other channels that I just mentioned, and they would probably have a link to it, or if they have the link. It's really hard to say. But that's why I started this. I wanted to give you my own unique theories on things like that. And yeah, like I said, a lot of these channels, they're really good, and but what I found is going through all these channels, I found that I actually liked watching some of the smaller content creators. Like there's a guy I just started watching not too long ago on one of these other channels, Superhero Buzz, I think is the name of his channel. He just started not long ago, neither a couple months ago. He's got quite a bit of subscribers. He's got quite a bit of subscribers to I don't know if he's got to the point where he could be monetized yet, but he started small just like me, and he's doing some good content too, but like I said, that's kind of what I've gotten into since I've been on here, is watching some of the smaller content creators on here. Just kind of like, I don't know, it's just a little more interesting watching some of them. Like God, what's another one I just started watching? Oh man, I can't remember the name of everyone's channel, but one of them is, I think, the Geek. Is it the Geek Fortress? I think it is. So started watching them. Dark Knight Nation. I started watching some of these smaller content creators, people that are just like me, got smaller channels, and I've found that I actually kind of like a lot of their content a lot more than some of the bigger channels. I think maybe because it's a little more unique, and I think some of them are probably just pulling from other similar channels to what I'm watching as well, and that's why I don't want to exactly make those exact same videos that I can watch, that I'm watching when I watch like War Stew and Emergency Awesome and Cosmic Wonder. These are great channels. I love these channels. I want to make similar content to these channels with like the theories and talking about these things, but I don't want it to be the same. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be exactly like that. And that's why like I started watching some of the smaller content creators, because just the different things they're saying, and also support too. You know, support them, because you know I see some of them that they're just like me. You know, they've got, you know, a handful of subscribers. Actually, a lot of them even got more subscribers than I've got. But you know, then they still get no comments. You know, people. So I like to comment on your videos, say what's up, interact in them. And do those things too. I mean, that's kind of what I've noticed here is that on the YouTube community is a lot of people kind of do that. But obviously, some people still have more strengths than others, and you know, some get faster, bigger and faster. You know, and those kinds of things. You know, and like me, I want to get. I would. You know, I don't get all the time to do it. I would like to get to be a bigger channel like some of these channels, but at the same time, I mean, I don't have all the time in the world to do it. I'm actually trying to get a couple of friends to come in and help me and work with me creating content, because, like I said, as you can tell, I'm mostly a Marvel person. I need somebody, a friend who likes DC, man, who reads DC and wants to team up and do some content. You know, who watches Game of Thrones and wants to do some Game of Thrones episodes. I don't watch that stuff. I don't do Game of Thrones, but I'm willing to put it here on the channel. I'm willing to talk about it. You know, even if you don't want to talk about it, you want to be on camera, you write it down. I'll read it. You know, whatever. But yeah, I like some of these smaller channels. Some of the smaller content creators, like you know, and this guy is by no means small. You have I'm not sure if any of you ever watched Comics Explained. The guy over there, Rob, he basically explains the comics. It's not like he's not reading the comic to you. um, there's a lot of DC fans out there, man. There is. Rob doesn't exactly read the comic for you, but he explains it to you like almost like almost like he is reading it to you, but really giving it to you like in vivid detail. He really goes. I mean, he kind of explains the whole comic or the whole event, and he's really good at doing it. But his channel's huge. He's got a huge channel, and he's really good at what he does. I really like watching his channel. And then I said, you know, like I said, then I like watching some of the smaller channels. Like I said, one of the channels I watched was the channel Dark Knight Nation. He is a DC guy that reads mostly DC books. You know, he does some videos and reviews on those. Another one of them, the comic book related, Comic Book University. Professor Bill over there, he does a really good job, and he's on top of it, man. He's on top of it, reviewing these comic books every single time. He's on there reviewing the comics, telling you what he thinks, kind of covering. He doesn't spoil the comics completely, but you know, telling you what he thinks about them, and you know, the art in it, and just kind of explaining it. And he's good at that. Like heck, he's convinced me to buy a couple issues that I wasn't going to pick up. Like last week was Champions #1. I wasn't even going to pick it up. I'm like, Champions, yeah, I don't know about all that. But he explained it, and I was like, you know, it actually sounds pretty good. So I went ahead and picked it up. So yeah, like I said, and you know, and he's not a small channel either. He's a big channel too. You know, and like I said, there's channels out there. Almost every channel is certainly bigger than mine. I think I've got like 60. I might be up to 70. Might be up to 70 subscribers now. But you know, that's okay, because what I want to grow here is an actual solid fan base, a solid subscriber base. I don't want it to be I don't want it to just be like, oh, hey, you know, a bunch of people that are just subscribing just to subscribe. I mean, if you're my friend, you better be subscribed just to subscribe. But that's if you're one of my friends. I mean, I don't want, like, if you're not interested, I mean, why would you subscribe to something you're not interested in? Other than to support somebody like a friend. But yeah, like I said, I want to get the solid base, and so you know, where I have steady, solid viewers who tune in and watch my stuff every week or whatnot, and maybe help me theorize on some of this stuff. There were a lot. There were a lot of DC fans. Thankfully, they were they were all in the half that they have tested. Yes. Well, we've still got a few out there. We still got a few. We still got a few of them. Oh, DC's not that bad. DC's not that bad. Aquaman. I thought Aquaman was a good movie. Was it the best movie? It wasn't the best movie in the world. But it was entertaining. It was an entertaining movie, and I really did like it. They got the casting. They got lucky with the casting, and they overall the balance of the movie was really good. I'm not sure they could have done much better. With this movie, introducing the character, and especially with the state that the DCEU is in, I don't know that they could have had a better movie come out at a better time. I don't even think the Wonder Woman could have the Wonder Woman could have came along and saved it, even if it was good to come out before this. I don't think it would have happened. I just don't think that would have happened. But anyway, God, what is it? Already 10:30. Been flapping my gums for an hour and a half. So I see we got a few people on here. I've been talking and commenting. Thank you all for stopping in. Like I said, I know I probably just flapped my gums about a whole bunch of nothing here for about an hour and a half. But yeah, I don't know. Because like I said, I could go on more and more and more about Avengers Endgame theories and Captain Marvel theory. Man, I've in one of my videos I promised a Captain Marvel theory video coming up, and I've actually been working on that, but there is a lot that goes into it, because somebody mentioned about time travel, about her time traveling, and this is before the Samuel L. Jackson leak. Somebody had a theory about time travel, and it actually only made sense to my theory, and I actually kind of bought into it. I'm like, man, maybe there was time travel, because the theory that I was having actually started to come to a point where I was like, there has to be a jump in time here where she either jumps back or jumps forward in time in this Captain Marvel movie. Otherwise, there's just something that's not right. It's not setting right with me, with all the trailers and everything that have come out. And Samuel L. Jackson saying she can travel through time. I'm willing to believe that she can. I'm willing to believe also that it's not just at her whim, and that she can do it at any old time and not have severe consequences to it. Obviously, we learned that from Back to the Future. Yeah. Like I said, I could go on all day, but I want to get to sleep here. It's 10:30. Something else I did mention, I'm not sure, I can't remember if I mentioned at the beginning of this video or not. See, I've been flapping my gums that long, but I forgot. But going to be doing a giveaway as soon as we hit 100 subscribers on this channel. 100. We were at 69 when I started this live stream. Did I gain 1? Did I gain 2, 3, 4 new subscribers? I don't know. I'm not looking at any analytics or anything. I've only been kind of looking here at comments as anybody's been commenting. But as soon as I hit 100 subscribers, going to be giving away a digital copy of Sony's Venom. So make sure you're liked, you're subscribed, you've clicked the little bell so you get notifications anytime that we have uploaded new content here on the 2nd Street Marvel. 100. As soon as we hit 100, I'll figure out exactly how we're going to do that giveaway. We'll do something soon. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever. I'm just kidding. I'm not on Snapchat, or I am on Twitter. I do got Twitter, and I do got Instagram and Facebook. I haven't done these other things. LinkedIn. Even I think my sister was even sending me some stuff for LinkedIn. I don't do LinkedIn. I don't know what all that is. Tinder, right? Tinder. No, but again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed. Share this with a friend. you know, if you got some theories, you got something you want to say, grinder, something you got a theory or anything you want to present, you know, let me know. What you think about my theories, let me know. Yeah, and you know, get a hold of me anytime. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can catch me here anytime, anytime. But again, I'm gonna get to sleep. Thank you all for tuning in to the Second Street Marvel. Next time, I guarantee you, next time this live stream will get better. It'll get better. You all have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.